And a pleasant good afternoon to you. I'm Tom Brenneman, and welcome as always to the NFL on Fox. It's my pleasure today to be working with a man who terrorized offenses around the NFL during his 10-year career, both with the Jets and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jeff Lageman. And Jeffrey, welcome to the NFL on Fox. Good to have you.
Thank you, Tom. And I am excited to be able to take a look at the NFC's best team in the St. Louis Rams, especially their high-powered offense. They have the NFL's highest-rated passer in Kurt Warner and a group of 4 wide receivers that, in my opinion, from top to bottom are the best in the league, but you have to have a quality running back, and the Rams have the premier back in Marshall Faulk, who can run the ball between the tackles. Outside, he also gives them an added dimension that he is a dangerous receiving threat. He leads the NFL in total yards from scrimmage, and in my mind, this guy is going to be the National Football League's MVP this year.
Well, it's been anything but a valuable season for the New Orleans Saints, and lo and behold, this week, the owner, Tom Benson, issues a statement that said wholesale changes will be made at the end of the year. What exactly do you think that means?
Well, I don't know what kind of changes he has in mind, but I've been in losing programs before, and I know the kind of reaction that the players may end up having is going to be in one of 2 ways. One, they could play very motivated out of fear of their own jobs, or number 2, they could have a lackluster performance because they feel that the staff that they have right now will not be here next year. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what kind of results that you're going to get from them.
Well, the Saints are looking for just their 3rd win. The Rams are eyeing home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs. We'll have the kickoff coming up. The Rams and the Saints after these words from your local Fox station. Get a look at the NFC West standings, where the St. Louis Rams have already captured a divisional championship. They're first in the NFC West since 1985. They're trying to now capture a home field advantage throughout the playoffs. We remind you, today's game available in Spanish by utilizing the SAP button on your television. Let's send it downstairs to our 3rd man in the broadcast today, Jim Gallagher.
Tommy, thanks a lot. I'm with head coach Dick Vermeil. And Dick, you've already won the NFC West Championship. How do you get this team motivated for this game today?
Well, this team is full of self-motivated kids. They like to play the game. They're a very young football team. They're very enthusiastic. They'll play hard today. I hope we play smart today, because I think New Orleans will play very hard and very smart today.
Good luck to you today. Let's head back upstairs.
All right, Jimmy, thank you very much. And Dick Vermeil, Jeff Lageman, in our meeting with him last night, made it very, very clear that there's not a lack of motivation for his football team. They very much want the home field advantage throughout the NFC postseason.
Well, no question, and they got a couple games lead on the rest of the NFC, but it's going to be critical for these guys to get off to a fast start on the road and against a team that doesn't have a high-powered offense. So look for them to try to jump out early.
We remind you that should the Rams come up with a victory here today, coupled with a Washington Redskins loss or tie in their battle against the Arizona Cardinals, Dick Vermeil's Rams would clinch a first-round bye in the NFC playoffs. Jeff Wilkins, a native of Youngstown, Ohio, set to kick it away. Dino Filial, Lawrence Dawsey waiting for the Saints. And it's going to be Filial from the 2. Crosses a 20, tripped up, and brings it out to the 27-yard line, and that's where the Saints will put it in play. The tackle made by Lorenzo Styles, a former Ohio State Buckeye. Billy Joe Tolliver making his 6th start of the year. 33-year-old native of Boyd, Texas, his 5th NFL team. Up front, he has Rofe and Turley, the tackles. Ackerman, Naoli, the guards. Fontenot in the middle. No Ricky Williams in the backfield today. Wilmont Perry will take his place, coming off a solid game last week against the Falcons. And the give is to Perry. Dodges one tackle and is able to bring it up close to the 30-yard line. A gain of 2. It'll bring up 2nd and 8 defensively for the Rams. And what a front four it is, led by the 13 sacks, and then added on one more during a league ruling this week. Kevin Carter officially now with 14 sacks on the year. Linebacking core of Collins, Fletcher, a great story out of John Carroll Division III school. McLeon and Light, the corners. Bush and Jenkins, a safety.
And it is going to be absolutely critical that the Saints' Kyle Turley blocks Kevin Carter because of the immobility of Billy Joe Tolliver.
Tolliver playing with an injured knee. He'll hand off to Troy Davis. And he crosses a 30 out to the 31-yard line. So it'll bring up 3rd down and 6 for New Orleans.
And it looks like Mike Ditka at the onset of this game is really trying to get the running game established, because he knows also that he doesn't have a real mobile quarterback. Billy Joe Tolliver, we talked with him yesterday. His knee is taped to the hilt with a brace, and the guy's not going to be able to get around a lot today.
Yeah, he's not played since 3 weeks ago. His start against Jacksonville when he injured that knee and had to leave the game. Receivers check in for New Orleans. Tolliver steps out of trouble, throws down the sidelines, and has a man, Keith Poole, and he's shoved out of bounds inside the 30-yard line.
Well, what a great way, Billy Joe Tolliver, to start the ball game. He ended up avoiding the rush. They had a man free in the pass rush. Take a look. They're going to run just a little stunt right here. Ends up coming free underneath number 98, Grant Wistrom, but he doesn't keep his feet, allows Billy Joe Tolliver the time to get the ball the downfield to Poole. And Poole just, this guy has speed, Tom. The guy has the ability to get deep. Mike Dick has said, we need to get the ball in the receiver's hands more this game.
It's a 3rd straight game on the opening possession by the Saints where they tried the long ball to Poole. That's the first time they've been able to connect. Poole in motion, and Tolliver again to throw, and again it's Poole with a catch. Slips a tackle by Light and is close to another first down inside the 20.
And this is a matchup that Billy Joe Tolliver talked about in the meeting. He said he wants to see how Todd Light is doing. Last week he had a groin injury, and you can see right now he's going right at his area.
It is a gain of 10, good enough for a first down. You see the numbers on Tolliver. We mentioned this is his 6th start, his 9th game overall. The Saints have had a revolving door at quarterback this season. Tolliver, Hobart, Danny Werfel played a great deal last week. They give it to Perry. And he's inside the 15, close to the 14-yard line. Wilmot Perry out of Livingstone. That's in Salisbury, North Carolina, the same school which produced Ben Coates.
And you take a look right here, just an ISO shot of Kevin Carter down actually in the 3 technique against Chris Neoli. This is where the Rams will go to their Bears 46 defense. Kevin Carter kicks down into a defensive tackle spot. This is going to be a matchup we're going to take a look at all day long. Kevin Carter and Kyle Turley, because of his pass rush ability.
Hopgood Chittick is checked in for DeMarco Farr. Play fake, they go to the end zone, and Tolliver overthrows a wide open Eddie Kennison.
You can see that Billy Joe Tolliver didn't really like that at all. I mean, he felt he could have gotten the ball a little bit better. And the amazing thing is that he was fortunate there that Kevin Carter didn't even realize that he was open. He was free. He ended up beating Kyle Turley, but he ended up biting on the run fake. He had a clean shot at Billy Joe.
Well, the Saints have really struggled in the red zone this season. 27th overall in the NFL in red zone efficiency. Third and 9, they give it to Perry, and he's tripped up at the 12-yard line by Billy Jenkins, who came up and made the play as a strong safety. So now the field goal unit will come out, and the troubles continue for the Saints in the red zone.
And I don't understand why on a 3rd and 7 or a 3rd and 8 situation, when your team is 2 and 10, you're playing the best team in your division, that you're going to run a draw play. In my mind, take a shot at the end zone. I mean, you've got nothing to lose. The season basically is over for you. Be aggressive. Why not?
Now Doug Bryan on to attempt a 29-yard field goal. He's 21 of 26 overall this season. And his kick is good. So the Saints march down the field, their opening drive of the game. And the field goal by Bryan gives New Orleans a 3-0 lead over the Rams. We're back in the Big Easy where it's been nothing close to easy for head coach Mike Ditka. The Saints, 2 wins, 10 losses on the year, but they've jumped out in front of the first-place Rams here today. A 62-yard scoring drive, and now they try a little pooch kick, and it's caught and brought out to the 40-yard line. They're trying to stay away from the most dangerous return man in the NFL, Tony Horn. But they didn't catch the Rams by surprise with that try. James Hodgins able to handle it. Offensively, for the high-octane St. Louis Rams, Kurt Warner leads the league in just about every major statistical category. Up front, he has Payson Miller, the tackles, Newton and Timmerman, the guards, Ruta Doria in the middle. When you talk about skill position players, how about these guys? Bruce and Holt, the wide receivers, Holcomb and Marshall Falk in the backfield, Roland Williams having a solid year at tight end. They fake to Falk, and Warner under pressure has to unload in a hurry. Willie Clay coming up from the free safety spot to put the pressure on Kurt Warner.
Take a look at this replay. This is Willie Clay coming from the outside of your screen on the blitz right there. You know, we talked to Wayne Martin. He said, we're going to be aggressive against the New Orleans Saints. And then from the first play, I guess they're trying to set the tempo right from the first play for the whole game.
Well, this is some kind of offense. Number 1 in total offense in the NFL. First in points, first and third down conversions, and the best red zone offense in the league. The New Orleans native Falk, his first carry, and he brings it out close to the 45-yard line. Stopped there by Wayne Martin, a gain of 4. It'll be 3rd and 6 defensively for the Saints, trying to slow down the Rams. Smith and Whitehead the end, solid in the middle with Glover and Martin. Linebacking core, Fields, Bordano, and Mitchell in a secondary with their work cut out for them. Weary and Ambrose are corners, Clay and Sammy Knight the safeties.
This is a situation where the Saints defense has not done very well on third down, 21st in the league. This is where they need improvement at, and improvement in a hurry, especially against the Rams.
Hakeem is checked in as a third wide receiver, and they fire to the near side, caught by Isaac Bruce, good enough for a first down to the 41-yard line. Bruce his 68th reception of the year. It's good for a 14-yard gain.
Now, we talked to Dick Vermeil before the game yesterday, and the one thing he said in the previous matchup in St. Louis against the Saints, he said that in the first half we didn't really get our chunk passing game going. In other words, the intermediate routes, getting the ball downfield more, and as you can see right here, they're going right to it right at the beginning of this ball game.
Isaac Bruce, a Pro Bowler back in '96. He'll be headed back there again undoubtedly this year. Lots of time for Warner, and he wants lots. But overthrows the intended receiver, Isaac Bruce. Good coverage by Fred Weary downfield.
And this is a situation for the Saints. When Dick Vermeil and his offensive coordinator, Mike Martz, decide to end up getting the ball downfield, you're talking about 3 or 4 wide receivers that could start for anybody. If you take, this is Mike Martz right here, talking to Bill Kuharich before the game, he said, you know, you can look at all the additions to their football team. He said, but the single biggest impression that has been made has been Mike Martz, their offensive coordinator.
He was with the Rams coaching staff back in California and left for the Redskins, and now he's back under Dick Vermeil. They pitch it to Falk, and he has running room. Close to a first down. Depends on the spot of the ball, met head on by Alex Molden, 4th-year corner out of Oregon.
This is a great block by Roland Williams, the tight end, who's in motion. As you'll see, he's going to end up motioning in and out, and he's going to end up sealing right here, and the ball is tossed outside to Marshall Falk. Great play, seals the corner, blocking number 59, Keith Mitchell, gives Marshall Falk a lot of running room. You cannot give this
round pick and a 5th round pick to get him, and he's been the best back in the league. 3rd and a yard, he'll get the first down and then some inside the 25, down to the 24. Marshall Faulk, 3 consecutive 100-yard rushing games.
And Marshall Faulk, what makes him so good is that he is what I like to call a nifty back, in that he makes people miss with minimal movement. He's not like a Barry Sanders used to be in his day with the Detroit, where you see a lot of stutter stepping. It's just slight movements that make people miss in his game.
See Faulk averaging better than 5 yards per carry. Flag on the play, a free play it looks like for Faulk, but he loses his footing behind the line of scrimmage. But it looked as though the Saints started too early along the defensive line, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, it's going to be offsides on Brady Smith, the right defensive end for the Saints. And you just can't make mistakes like this. You're going to end up giving the Rams first and 5.
Number 91, defense. 5 yards, first down.
Yeah, you let the Rams start first and 5, you're in big trouble.
I mean, what in the world are you thinking of first and 5? I mean, they're putting up 33 points a game. You just can't do that. And if you take a look at the defensive coordinator, Xavier Urelian, this is the guy that there's a lot of questions about him also in Mike Ditka's coaching staff. In the Jacksonville game, Mike Ditka substituted players in the second half without Xavier knowing. So you got to wonder what kind of a relationship is going on between those two.
Saw the red zone numbers for the Rams this season. They have just been terrific. Warner flushed out of the pocket, fires to Williams, inside the 5 and down to the 2.
Well, so much is made of the wide receivers of Hope and Bruce and Hakeem. Sometimes you have a tendency to forget about Roland Williams, the tight end. Take a look at Roland Williams on the left side of the formation. Kurt Warner's going to end up scrambling a little bit. He doesn't have a whole lot of pressure. He just kind of slides outside a little bit and does a great job of throwing back across his body. Not very many quarterbacks in the National Football League can do that.
First and goal. New Orleans in front, 3-0. And they give it to Faulk. He sniffs the goal line, but comes up about a half-yard shy. Marshall Faulk, we talked about his 3 consecutive 100-yard rushing games. First time he's ever done that in his career. The Rams' first 4 seasons in St. Louis, a span of 64 games, they had only 6 100-yard days by a running back. Faulk has 6 alone this season.
He's a tremendous back. And, there's a lot of running backs, when you get into short yardage situations, you got to have a substitution, and he can do this as well.
Ryan Tucker, tackle eligible, but they throw to Holcomb in the end zone. Touchdown, Ram. So the beat goes on for Warner. His 33rd touchdown pass of the season.
And I believe that was the bob and weave dance in the end zone.
Yes.
by Robert Holcomb, who is a converted tailback.
Well, Laz Hakeem told us before the game today that he's going to try and get Kurt Warner to partake in the bob and weave. Warner's not done it all year.
I want to see that. I saw you try to do that yesterday.
They're not pretty.
No, it wasn't.
You didn't even try.
No, I'm not going to embarrass myself.
Wilkins for the point after, and it is good. So the Saints on their opening drive get 3. The Rams answer on their first try with 7. Robert Holcomb, a 1-yard touchdown reception, his first touchdown receiving the football this season. So for Warner, that is 9 different receivers on this Rams offense that have caught touchdown passes. Wow. 7-3, Rams in front. Wilkins, a short kick fielded by Dino Filyaw, and he brings it across the 30 and then some out to the 37-yard line. So good field positions for the Saints, who trail here in the opening quarter with 5:29 to play. 7-3. You talk about jumping on the opposition. The Rams now, for the 8th time this season, have scored a touchdown on their opening drive. And in each of those games, they came out a victor.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, especially against a team that doesn't put a lot of points on the board, like the New Orleans Saints. It puts them in a tough position.
Billy Joe Tolliver hands it to Wilmot Perry. throws and is close to a first down. Banged out of bounds by Devin Bush. It is a first down for Wilmot Perry.
Let's go back and take a look at the touchdown and why it worked. If you take, this is Holcomb at the fullback spot and Fields at the linebacker spot. That's man coverage. But it ends up being a great run fake. See Mark Fields, he's looking at Marshall Faulk. That's one thing play action gets you. But also, within the offense, everybody has to do their part. Even a star running back like Marshall Faulk, take a look at the block right there. Great block. Everybody's got a role. Everybody takes care of it. The offense is successful.
From the 49, Tolliver to throw. And lets it fly to Poole, who makes the over-the-shoulder grab inside the 20. Devin Bush late getting over. So Poole, the reception on the first drive of 41. This one goes for 29.
You take a look at Billy Joe Tolliver. Does a good job of getting back into his pass drop, and just kind of wings it up there. But Keith Poole gets such great separation. Take a look. Devin Bush, I mean, he's 5 steps, 6 steps away when the ball's thrown. He doesn't even have an advantage. If the ball had been there and caught Poole on stride, it might have been 6.
Perry and Davis in the backfield. A play fake to Perry. Tolliver with all day to throw. Fires towards the end zone, and it's out of bounds. Had an eye on Eddie Kennison down there.
I don't know about you, but I was faked by that play action. I mean, that looked good. It looked good. The defensive backs are doing their job, playing the pass first, and they're not worrying about the run. Those guys, the Rams, have a front 7 that are probably as good as anybody in the league, and they just say, if I'm a defensive back on the end, I'm going to say, hey, we got guys up front that can get it done. I'm not worried about the run game.
Kevin Carter that time applied the pressure to Tolliver. 3 receivers set for the Saints. Davis and Perry in the backfield on a 2nd and 10. Tolliver looking for a receiver, but his throw is too far wide, intended for Eddie Kennison, so it'll bring up 3rd down and 10. Kennison, a former Ram, traded during the offseason here to New Orleans. He's a native of Lake Charles, Louisiana, played collegiately at LSU.
The one weakness of the New Orleans Saints offense, without a doubt, has been their 3rd down percentage, 35.7. You can't get things done like that when you're an offense. That ends up ranking them about 18th in the league. The 4th down is bad. Look at the Rams, 47.9. I mean, the next closest team is like 40%, which is phenomenal.
Good time for Tolliver. Finds a receiver across the middle, and it's Andre Hastings, a first down to the Rams' 10-yard line. Hastings becoming a big part of this Saints offense the last 4 games. He has 21 receptions.
Well, if you take a look at the replay, the reason this happens, you're going to see one of these things. That's what I call the cup of the pass protection. It allows Billy Joe Tolliver just to take a step up and deliver the ball, because this was not a timing route. He actually scanned the field a little bit and waited for Hastings to get open, and Hastings is a very talented receiver and is willing to go over the middle.
First and goal at the 8.
Checking off at the line of scrimmage. Looks like he might have a 46 defense against him.
Raver checks into the game. They fire to the end zone. It's full touchdown Saints. Flag came down in the end zone, and it's offensive pass interference. Dexter McLeon shaking his head in agreement.
Offensive pass interference, number 83. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Billy Joe Tolliver ended up checking off. He saw 46 defense, which gives him man coverage. That's Poole right there lined up out. But take a look what he does. He pushes off once he tries to make his break to the out route. And Tolliver, he's a smart quarterback now. He knows exactly what to look for. You never celebrate until you see that there's no yellow laying on that green.
So they back him up 10 rather than first and goal from the 8. It's now first and goal from the 18.
And you know, this is a critical drive for the Saints. You read all the quotes from the past games from the Saints players, and their attitude for the last couple games has always been, here we go again. And this is the kind of situation that could bring that attitude out. So it's going to be interesting to see how they react. The Rams scored early, and all of a sudden they have a touchdown called back, and Poole, in frustration, goes right to the official and starts prodding the official. You know, you don't need to do that. Just get back in the huddle, line up, and do it again. It was an obvious call. Tom, you can make that call.
Don't bet on it. First and goal from the 18, and Tolliver to throw. Steps up and has room in front, dodges a tackler, spins his way to the 11. So injured knee or not, the one thing you know about Billy Joe Tolliver is he's going to lay it all out there on the line, and a substantial gain there on first down.
And what a competitor. You know, I love his quote during the week. A lot of the people in the press were asking him about his knee. He said, well, I just put a little WD-40 on it.
Right.
And, you know, you can see right here his left knee looks about twice as big as his right. He's dragging it behind him. He'd better learn in this game to get down in a hurry or he's not going to finish the game. We're not going to win with him running the ball.
Second and goal now to 12. Short drop by Tolliver, lost it towards the end zone. Kennison, did he come down? No, out of bounds. Pretty nice throw there by Tolliver.
Eddie Kennison couldn't do the tippy-toe in the end zone. You take a look at the replay. This is one thing that you're going to see. Kyle Turley cut Kevin Carter in the last matchup 16 times. He didn't have a sack. If you look in the whole month of November, Kevin Carter was the NFL Defensive Player of the Month. He had like 8.5 sacks, but he had none against Turley because Turley was cutting so much.
Goal, and they pitch it to Andre Hastings, and Hastings inside the 10 comes down to the 7-yard line. Boy, you're already shaking your head. Another questionable call, I'm assuming, on third down.
Yeah, and it goes back to exactly what I said before. It's third and 13 or 12 and goal to get in the end zone. You're playing a team that's 10-2. You're 2-10. Throw the ball at the end zone. Your chances with the reverse. Billy Joe Tolliver is a good quarterback for this team. He gives them the best chance to win. It's been said by Dicker. Put the ball in his hands and give him a chance.
26-yard attempt by Bryant, who hit his first field goal try, and this one right down the middle. So the Saints with 2 drives, 2 field goals. The Rams 1 drive and a 1-point lead. Back in New Orleans, where the Saints trail 7-6 to the Rams, 1:29 to go in the first quarter. Tony Horn waiting back. Bobbles the ball at the 5, still trying to find the handle, and now he'll bring it out and is dragged down 2 yards later at the 7-yard line by Dino Philyaw. Philyaw, the first man to get there, had help from Rob Kelly. So the Rams will take over their second possession, leading 7-6.
We go back to the play before the Saints field goal. All it is kind of a reverse to Hastings, who's in motion coming across the line of scrimmage. But the reason I don't like it is third and long. Look at the defensive linemen that are up the field. They end up creating a problem for Hastings to get around the corner on the other side. I play defensive end, Tom. You know, if it's third and long, I'm up the field. I'm not worried about run or anything else, and it makes it tough for Hastings to turn the corner on the other side.
Rams their second possession. They lead 7-6, and they hand it to Marshall Faulk. And he stopped at the line of scrimmage. First man to meet him, the middle linebacker, Chris Bordano.
And this is something that the Rams aren't accustomed to. So their kickoff return is tops in the league with a 27.5 return average, which usually gives the Rams the ball outside the 30-yard line. So this is a little different for them.
Under a minute to play here in the opening quarter, and already things getting bloody. first down out to the 16-yard line. Fred Weary on the coverage and the tackle on what could be the final play of the opening quarter. And if you're a Saints fan, or Mike Ditka, his staff, and the players, at least in the first quarter, a question is answered. Your guys are out there playing hard, and so far you're playing pretty well.
You're playing hard, but one thing I don't like, you're not playing aggressive on offense. What do you have to lose? Go for the end zone.
Well, that's what the fans are saying here at the Superdome. Same thing. 7-6 at the end of the quarter. Fox NFL Sunday will continue after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. Welcome back to the Superdome in New Orleans. Tom Brenneman alongside Jeff Lageman and Jim Gallagher. Glad to have you with us. Into the opening quarter, the Rams in front, 7-6. Third down and a yard. And you see third down conversions Jeff brought up earlier. Nobody better in the NFL than these Rams.
And this is going to be a run. You see all the shifting. Vermeil likes that in running situations.
They give it to Falk, and he has enough for a first down out to the 20-yard line. Well, the last time these two teams got together, just 2 weeks ago in St. Louis, Kurt Warner early on a touchdown pass to Torrey Holt. He had 2 in the game. It was 15-12 Rams at the half. The Saints opening drive of the third quarter, a chance to tie. Clank off the foot of Doug Bryan, and then late in the fourth quarter, James Hodgins with a touchdown run. 43-12 the final, and many of the Saints, on defense anyway, felt as though the Rams ran up the score on them. Falk dances his way out to the 24.
And Sammy Knight had a quote along with big play Willie Clay and Sammy Knight's comment. You can read it right there. And I don't agree with this. You know, we went back and we looked at the film. In my mind, when an offense runs the ball 8 times in a row, how in the world can that be trying to run the score up? And Willie Clay, you know, we talked to Wayne Martin about this with Willie Clay and Sammy Knight's statement, and Lloyd Glover also made some comments to the same effect of these two. And he said, Wayne said, you know, I think that's just the DBs just talking smack. And it might be the defensive backs just trying to find a way to motivate themselves for this game.
Meanwhile, Mark Rudidoria, fourth-year center out of Central Florida, is down on the field. And while they tend to him, we'll take a timeout as he just now is coming to his feet. Mike Rudidoria, the center, has to leave for a moment. He appears to be okay, although slightly limping over on the sideline. Former St. Andy McCollum is taking over at center. And Warner to throw on second down, drops it off to Marshall Faulk out of the backfield, and that'll move the sticks out to the 35-yard line.
Let's go take a look back at Rudidoria's injury. He is the starting center for the St. Louis Rams, located right here in the middle of the formation. He just ends up trying to zone block up, but the one thing that he does, and you'll see him once again, freeze it right there. That is the knee area. Bordano, the middle linebacker, in pursuit, comes in from the side, takes a shot at Marshall Faulk, and misses and catches Rudidoria.
Well, he hurt his knee, and he's cut up his elbow.
Yeah, I thought he hurt his knee. Looks like he might have got a little bit of turf burn.
Flags on the play before the first down. Looked like early movement.
False start, number 61, offense. 5-yard, first down.
It's Tom Newton, former teammate, NFL Europe with the Amsterdam Admirals, of the quarterback Kurt Warner. Right now, let's send it downstairs to our man on the sideline, Jim Gallagher.
Tom, Mike Rudidoria has a left knee sprain. He's testing it out on the sideline right now. The Rams do expect him to get back into this ballgame.
First and 15, and the ball comes loose. And the Saints appear to have recovered the fumble by Marshall Faulk. And they have.
That's exactly what this team needs. They need turnovers. Talking to Dick Vermeil last night, he said the one thing they haven't been able to do this year is be in that 0 or plus category when it comes to turnover differential. This is what they need to win this ballgame. Kurt Warner stumbles coming out from underneath the center. Marshall Faulk gets held up a little bit. And right there, you can take a look. Number 59, Keith Mitchell, does a good job of putting his helmet right on the ball, and it pops out, and Wayne Martin does a good job of getting the recovery.
That's a big play for the Saints. They take over at the Ram 31-yard line. Wayne Martin recovering his second fumble of the season. And Mitchell forcing his second of the season.
And this is where the Saints need to be aggressive.
Well, they give it to Perry, and he's inside the 30, picks up a couple of yards, stopped by DeMarco Farr. You see 2 field goals on the first 2 possessions by New Orleans. But again, I know you didn't like those third down calls.
Well, I don't even like the first down call here. You know, a lot of times you'll see the successful coaches in the National Football League, when they get a turnover, especially when it's on the opposing team's side of the field of the first play, they're going to go right up top to try to rip the heart out of you. I would have liked to have seen that out of the Saints on that last play.
Henderson in motion, Tolliver to throw, blitz coming, he drops it off to Perry. Nifty move to avoid a couple of tacklers, and he's tripped up by Mike Jones at the 25-yard line. It'll bring up third down and about 3.5, 4 yards to go for the Saints.
Well, it's just a safety valve. Wilmot Perry's just going to end up being the kind of last resort for Billy Joe Tolliver. Wilmot Perry, a nice young man that we had the chance to talk to yesterday. But you can see he loves to carry the ball in his left hand so they can have that right arm to use for stiff.
Well, was it Rofe or was it DeMarco Farr? Billy Joe Tolliver clapping as though it was a defensive tackle. Right now, as it is against St. Louis, let's return to James Brown in the Fox Network Center in Los Angeles for an NFL update.
All right, Tom, and we will tell you that the Skins have scored their second touchdown of the day. Brad Johnson to Irving Fryer. Fryer, his first TD of the season as a Skin. Washington up 14-3 in the second. Good to see you back, Tom, along with Jeff Lageman.
Thank you, JB. Good to be back. Michael Pittman back in the lineup for the Cardinals. His only start, he rushed for better than 100 yards, and Stephen Davis been doing it all year long for the Skins. And off to Wilmot Perry, and he drags a tackler with him inside the 15. Billy Jenkins hanging on. Well, he ran a little lower to the ground that time. That was a knock Mike Ditka had on Wilmot Perry. Says he tends to run a little high.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like Eric Dickerson used to, but he doesn't have that strength when he runs upright like Eric Dickerson has. And that's one thing that he said that he's always conscious of. He said he always tries to lower the shoulder before contact. So look for him today to try to put the wood to some of the defenders.
Four receivers set. Tolliver to the end zone, and it's too far. He had an eye on Lawrence Dawsey, 8th-year receiver out of Florida State. Flag down on the play, and another penalty against the Rams. And this will be enough for a first down.
And this is when the league started trying to protect the quarterback, and pretty much every player in the National Football League, but it all started with the quarterback. Number one
Personal foul, roughing the passer, 41 defense, below to the head. Half the distance to the goal line, first down.
They are going to take a look. Todd Light, bottom of your screen. Billy Joe Tolliver dropping back. Looking right. That's what I'm talking about right there. You cannot touch a quarterback or a defender anywhere around the head area. If you do, it's an automatic personal foul.
Easy call right there. So the ball is placed just outside the 6-yard line. First and goal for the Saints. Hastings in motion, inside handoff to Perry, and he stopped close to the 3-yard line. It'll bring up second and goal. Saints trying for their third straight scoring drive. But they rather have 6 than 3.
Well, you talk about a good play. This is London Fletcher right there behind the goalpost. This is one of Dick Vermeil's. This is his favorite guy on defense. Kurt Warner, his favorite guy on offense. He's not a big guy. Last year was mainly a special team, but this guy is getting it all done. And Dick Vermeil is going to find a way to keep this guy on the field in nickel and dime situations.
Second and goal, and again, the handoff inside to Perry. And he's close to the goal line, to the 1, perhaps inside the 1. Third and goal. Get a look at Tom Clemens.
And this is interesting to me. This is Danny Abramowitz, the offensive coordinator for the Saints, up in the box. And Ditka, who has play calling responsibilities some of the time, relays the calls to Tom Clements because Ditka doesn't wear a headset. So, Tom, I'm not a genius.
What number?
But if your head coach is calling plays, why doesn't he have a headset to talk to his offensive coordinator up in the booth?
It's the same question they're asking regularly in the New Orleans media. Billy Joe Tolliver calls a timeout. Big play when we return. Third and goal, and the Saints down by 1.
Right before the commercial break, the Saints had to burn a timeout. And I think this is part of the reason why. If you look at the screen right here, you got Danny Abramowitz on your right, Tom Clements and Mike Ditka on your left. Ditka is calling plays without a headset. The communication needs to be smoother. Ditka needs to wear a headset, and you won't have problems of getting the play in on time.
3rd and goal. Tolliver rolls right, throws, touchdown, New Orleans. Cam Cleland, the tight end.
Nice throw by Billy Joe Tolliver, and they're going to go for 2.
Well, this makes it 12-7 if they're able to tack on a 2. Obviously, it's back up to a touchdown and a point after lead for the Saints.
And Billy Joe Tolliver, we talked to him, asking him who his favorite receiver was the other day. And instead of an Eddie Kennison, a burner guy, or an Andre Hastings, a great possession receiver with a lot of agility, he says, I like the big guy. I like Cam Cleland. And he says, I don't like it when we go to 3 wide receivers and 2 backs because the big guy's not in there, and I like to throw him the ball.
Cleland's had to battle through injuries all season long. It's only his 6th start of the year, and it's his first touchdown reception. See what they've done, 2-point conversions this season. And Tolliver to throw it, short drop, fires to the corner, and it is the 2-point conversion in the corner to Eddie Kennison. So the Saints coming out like they mean business. 3 drives, 3 scores, and lead by 7. Cam Cleland last year, 54 receptions, a Saints rookie record. He was an alternate to the Pro Bowl, but all the injuries this season have really limited his pass-catching ability. His first touchdown of the year.
First touchdown of the year, and it was all created off of the Marshall Faulk fumble. That's what the Saints need to play a high-powered scoring team like the Rams.
Bouncing ball, and it's fielded by Fletcher, and he pitches back behind him to Horn, and Horn all the way out across the 40 to the 41-yard line. Boy, he is fun to watch.
Oh, and you can tell right there that the New Orleans Saints are scared of the Rams' return. Take a look at the replay. This is Cam Cleland right there at tight end, and you'll see 22 kind of following Billy Jenkins. He's got man coverage on him. But the one thing that happens is Cam Cleland beats him into the flat, and Billy Joe Tolliver throws a great ball. Take a look at the 2-point conversion. It's a very similar play, except for it's out of 4 wide receivers, and it's Eddie Kennison running a very similar route. Great job of keeping his feet in. And Tolliver, here's a guy that's tough as nails. Happy man, he should be. Doing a good job.
Good protection by Warner, and here come the Rams. He locks up with Isaac Bruce, who's all the way to the New Orleans 28-yard line. He beat Fred Weary for a 31-yard gain.
Andre Bruce got into the car wreck, but boy, you wouldn't know it. Take a look at him in your picture. All he's doing is running about a 15-yard crossing route. Kurt Warner hits him right in the middle of the field, and watch him make people miss. That's what makes him special. He can make people miss after he's got the ball in his hands.
Third 1,000-yard receiving season in the 6-year career of Isaac Bruce. Pump fake, and Warner wants 6 to the end zone, and he overthrows Bruce, the intended receiver.
So we talked to Billy Joe Tolliver about his favorite receiver. We asked Kurt Warner the same question. First thing out of his mouth, Bruce. I said, well, how in the world can you pick one wide receiver when you have such a talented group? And he says, everybody's got talent, but he said Isaac is just nothing but pure special talent. He said the guy has more skills than any of the other guys. And last year with the hamstring injury affected his play a lot, but this year he's come back and has been healthy and is making a big impact with this offense.
Yeah, his motto's been all year, when I'm well, I'm hell. And that he's been on defenses around the NFL. Lofted towards Williams. He had it and then lost it. And Warner upset with himself. That's a beautiful throw, though, isn't it, Jeff?
That was a pretty throw, and it was almost an even better catch. And Roland Williams, the tight end, is getting a lot of play time this year because of the injury to Ernie Conwell, who was inactive today. Ernie Conwell ended up having his knee surgery last year, returned last week, but I think they want to keep Roland Williams involved in this offense because they don't want to mess up the continuity in the role that they're on.
Third down and 10, big play at the New Orleans 29. Warner lost the handle, and he loses 5 yards.
And guess what? I think the Saints had some problems there because there's flags down.
In the secondary on the near side of the field is where the flag came down.
And it was 12 men on the field, I guess. I think they had a little confusion and didn't get the right people on the field.
You got it. Bob McElwee, our referee.
12 men on the field. Defense. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
Boy, your first game in the booth here on Fox, you don't miss a thing for crying out loud.
You can always tell when the guy's trying to like walk off the sideline real sneaky when the whole thing is happening. Something's up. Take a look. Look at this. You got one guy coming on, and guess what? Nobody's coming off. That's 12.
You can't play with 12. Although
Like
against
to.
this Rams
You would
offense,
like to
you like to
against
play
the
with
Rams.
right, 14 or 15. So it's third down and 5 at the 24, and they pitch it to Falk. Breaks it to the outside, and he is stopped shy of the first down. Terrific pursuit by the third-year linebacker Keith Mitchell out of Texas A&M.
Good contained by the linebackers. They had a lot of guys stacked over to this side of the formation to try and get Marshall Falk outside. Pulled Fred Miller around for the linebacker at 59. Once again, Keith Mitchell does a good job of staying home, staying outside, making the play. But you know what? I guarantee you before the day is out, Marshall Falk, this is his homecoming. He's going to have a monster day.
40-yard attempt by Wilkins, who's only missed once all year inside of 40 yards. And that one plenty long enough, and it is good. So Dick Vermeil's Rams march down the field and get the field goal from Wilkins to shave the lead down to 4.
Guy, and there's another guy on that team that's pretty darn good, Herman Moore, that's from the University of Georgia.
You guys have a few players come out of that school every now and again.
Just a couple.
Dino Filial brings it out across the 20 and then some. Crosses the 40, and the kicker Wilkins shoves him out of bounds at the 45-yard line. So Dino Filial saying, "Take back, Tony Horn."
Take a look at this return. One thing that he does, you see him bend it in and then break it back out. That sets up the return. That gets the coverage guys for the St. Louis Rams heading one way, and it allows the St. Louis guys that are blocking for him to get the better angle. Wilkins, the kicker, I mean, you know.
That's because he's from Ohio. Real men come out of Ohio.
I love watching kickers try to tackle.
55-yard return by Filial. Pardon me, that's his longest of the season. So they hand it to Parent, and he drags would-be tacklers at least a couple of yards. Billy Jenkins comes up the first man to meet him.
He's a big back. I mean, he is a big back. He reminds me of a Christian Okoye style, although he doesn't carry the weight that Christian Okoye used to. He's the kind of back that you would like to see him carry the ball 30 to 35 times a game because he can have a tendency to just wear down a defense.
Boy, delightful young man. We really enjoyed our conversation with him yesterday. 2nd and 6. Tolliver with time, and it's intercepted by Todd Light. Light out across the 30 to the 40-yard reception of the season. Groin injury or not, starting his 92nd consecutive game in light with a big pick.
He's a player that they definitely want to keep in the lineup, groin injury or not. Taking a look, Billy Joe dropping back, throwing the ball. That's the one thing that Dick has said. You know, he gives us the best chance to win, but sometimes he makes mistakes. And I don't know if it was a wide receiver mistake or the quarterback mistake because I'm not in the game plan room, but you can see right there his expression on his face. He's saying, bend it in, bend it in. And the receiver didn't get it done. He was running straight ahead.
Grudadori, incidentally, is checked back in at center for the Rams. And Warner in trouble. Fields chasing him. And they come back the other way to Falk. Twists and turns out to the 46-yard line.
It's not over in his mind. I mean, he's on the sideline. He's gonna look up the receiver and say, "Hey, look, let's stop making mistakes." I'd like to know, was that just Billy Joe being frustrated that it was his mistake, or was it truly the receiver's mistake? He's having a pretty good yards per attempt day. I mean, he's almost just to about 10 yards.
Gain of 5 on the reception by Falk. 2nd and 5, and Falk breaks it to the outside. And he'll come up short of the first down by a couple of yards, met by Fred Weary.
Run out of bounds by Fred Weary.
Todd Light who made the interception. There was a big question whether he was going to play. There's another guy in your picture. That's Keith Lau right here, who's the safety who has missed 4 games with a shoulder injury.
And he went to school
at the University of Virginia. But I tell you what, these 2 guys right here have been a staple in the Rams secondary for a long time, and they'd like to have them both back out on the field. Fortunately, Todd Light, the groin injury wasn't as severe to keep him out of the lineup, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him pull sometime in this game for fear of damaging it further.
3rd down, and Warner, good protection. Now forced out of the pocket. Chased by Martin. Still on his feet. Throws down the field, and it's caught. Can you believe that from Kurt Warner? And Ricky Prohl, the reception, good enough for a first down. That in a nutshell is a year for Kurt Warner. Things are going that well for him.
You know what this looked like? This looked like Sandlot. Take a look at it from the big aerial shot and look at the routes. Okay, everybody's running great routes, but now what do you do? Everybody's have to scramble just to try to find an open area. And fortunately for Warner, Ricky Prohl makes a fantastic catch because if that ball had been tipped, it could have been a potential interception. And Ricky Prohl, we talked at the beginning of the show about 4 wide receivers, the best in the league from top to bottom. Ricky Prohl is that 4th guy.
He had to go along with Bruce, Hakeem, and Torrey Holt. Warner under pressure, fires to Bruce inside the 10, down to the 4. Sammy Knight shoved him out of bounds, and the beat goes on for this Rams offense, a gain of 34 yards.
He is a tremendous, that's Andre Bruce. Isaac Bruce right there in the slot. All he runs is basically a post. Ashley Ambrose has man coverage on him. He gets turned around. Sammy Knight can't get there quick enough to help out. I mean, this is the guy that has worlds and worlds of talent. And you know what? He had a car wreck this week. I'd like to see him when he's had no wrecks at this point in the season because he's tremendous as it is.
Well, thank God both Bruce and his girlfriend are okay. That was a scary situation. Earlier this week, Warner rolls, throws to the end zone too high. It'll bring up 2nd down and goal. Well, the story on Warner has been told many, many times. 28-year-old native of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Played collegiately in Northern Iowa. Was a Gateway Conference Player of the Year back in 1995. He was cut after getting a chance with the Green Bay Packers and went on to throw for better than 10,000 yards for the Iowa Barnstormers of the Arena League. In 98, played in NFL Europe, was terrific there for Amsterdam, brought in by the Rams, and then got his chance when Dick Vermeil watched his big free agent quarterback Trent Green go down with a knee injury during the preseason. They pitch it to Falk, and it's time to bob and weave, although a flag is down. They won't do it yet.
And I don't think Kurt Warner realizes that there is a flag on the field. It would come from the referee that would be either offsides or some kind of illegal formation offensively. But it looks like
Offside, 55 defense lined up in the neutral zone. That penalty is declined. Touchdown.
So Marshall Faulk carrying into the end zone for the touchdown. His 6th rushing touchdown of the year. And the Rams have gone back on top. And Wilkins will try and make it a 3-point lead with a point after. And he just does get it inside the left upright. Well, if you like offense, this is your kind of game so far.
And this is very similar to the first meeting. At the end of the first half, it was 15-12. But if you take a look at the replay of the touchdown, take a look at the block that Robert Holcomb gets on the linebacker. Kicks him out, allows Marshall Faulk just a little alleyway just to cut right up. You know, we talk about Marshall Faulk being nifty. He doesn't waste any footsteps. There's Robert Holcomb again. Watch the block. Right down there into the knees of Keith Mitchell. Kicks him out. They're stretching the defense, and he just gets a little lane, and it's touchdown.
Well, you said at the opening of the telecast you believe that Marshall Faulk is the MVP of the NFL this season.
I think so, you know, and I think he's going to bob and weave his way to the MVP. This is the little dance that they got going. But the reason I think he's going to be the MVP is because he combines all the skills that running backs in the league you don't have. He can catch the ball. He can line up as a receiver and catch the ball. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can run the ball inside. He can run the ball outside. There's very few running backs in the National Football League that can do everything and do everything well. And I tell you what a day to have a good day, his mom, Cecile Faulk up in the stands. And Marshall had to buy 75 tickets for this game, which may be half the crowd here today.
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. And those tickets ain't free. So the Saints will get the ball back with 3.5 minutes left to play here in the first half. Billiard, big return a moment ago, and a pretty good one right here. As he brings it out across the 30. Did he step out of bounds at the 35? Yes, he did. Fox Sports proudly presents the final round of Olympic and world champion athletes in the most dynamic head-to-head competition of the season. Skating's Elite team up. Grand Slam of Skating Pro Super Teams Challenge next week on Fox. Katarina Witt involved in that competition. Don't miss it.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Right.
The Rams kickoff coverage, if there was ever a weak link in their special teams, it's their kickoff coverage. They're ranked 28th in the league, and every other special teams is top 5. Dick Vermeil says it's just because we cover so much, which there's probably some truth to that statement.
They're worn out. 1st and 10. Tolliver to throw. Steps up under pressure. Fires to the far side. Dangerous throw over there. He had an eye on Troy Davis out of the backfield.
And pretty good pressure there.
See what the first 4 possessions have brought for Tolliver, who's hit on 6 of 12 for 102 yards in the game. Solid until that interception, which led to the St. Louis touchdown and the lead.
And one of the problems with the Saints offense in the red zone is that 35 times in the red zone, they've only scored 13 touchdowns. That's been part of the problem with this offense. And we go back and we talked about the play calling. It needs to be more aggressive.
The shotgun in trouble, and down he goes, wrapped up by Charlie Clemens. Dick Vermeil told us we get a great deal of playing time today because of the 3 wide receiver sets that the Saints like to use. Clemens, a tremendous athlete.
Take a look. This is Clemens lined up outside in what we like to call the nickel 46 defense, like the Bears, where they have 3 interior linemen and linebackers lined up outside. Clemens is a guy in which Dick Vermeil says, I want to get him on the field along with London Fletcher in that nickel situation, and they're going to split a lot of time for as many wide receivers as the Saints use.
Loss of 3 is 3rd and 13. They need to get to the 48-yard line. Tolliver with time to throw. Tip ball, and then it's caught by Kennison. Depending on the spot, we'll have to see if it's good enough for a first down. Mike Jones got a hand on the football, and then Kennison made the catch. He needed to get to the 48, and they're saying that's plenty enough. Gain of 14 yards.
14 yards.
And there's no reason for the Saints offense to really hurry. They got 2:15 left. The clock's running. They just need to get the ball snapped before the 2-minute warning. So take your time, make sure everybody's set up, and then snap the ball. At least get it off before the 2-minute warning.
And they do. Tolliver out of the shotgun, steps up as he's hit, and it's picked off by Dexter McCleon at the 48-yard line. A huge turnover as we've reached the 2-minute warning. Pressure applied by Grant Wistrom, and Tolliver makes his second mistake.
Turnovers happen for a reason. If you take a look at Grant Wistrom at the right end position, he gets an inside rush on Willie Roaf, one of the best tackles in the NFL. He ends up interfering with Tolliver's follow-through, and he doesn't get a lot of velocity on the ball. And after this play, we'll take a look at the man-on-man coverage with Dexter McCleon.
So now 3 timeouts the Saints have, or pardon me, the Rams have, with under 2 minutes to play in the half. And a completion is made to Holt, a pickup of 7 yards.
And you go back to the bump and run. Well, we got to hurry up offense. We don't have time for it.
4 wide receivers in the ball game. Falk, the lone running back, and he'll take the football, and he has enough for a first down to the New Orleans 35-yard line. Clock ticking down to 1:25.
In this situation right here, when you run the ball like that, he should have used one of his timeouts. Still got all 3 of them left. Why rush it?
Warner, great protection, and overthrows a wide-open Oz Hakeem.
Now that we got to stop it to the 2 minutes, let's go back to the 1-on-1 coach. McCleon versus Eddie Kennison gets a good jam on him, but look at the recovery McCleon has. Stepped right in front, and I think the reason that he was able to step right in front is because Tolliver couldn't get that velocity because of the pressure Wistrom got over Willie Roaf.
Dick Vermeil and his Rams, a 3-point lead, 1:07 to play here until halftime. It's 2nd and 10 at the New Orleans 35-yard line. 4 receivers, 6 defensive backs in the game, and Warner escapes, and he'll lead it, and picks up about 5 or 6 yards, depending on where he stepped out of bounds, inside the Saints 30.
And we got 2 opposite ends of the spectrum here today. You got Billy Joe Tolliver with his knee, can barely run at all. You got Kurt Warner, who's got some pretty young, athletic legs. I mean, look at this guy. He's pretty. But it's smart by him. You know, Dick Vermeil talked about if there was ever a weakness with Kurt Warner, he said it was with the big picture. And what he means by that is not making mistakes in situations where you don't need to be taking chances. And there was a perfect example of him making that step towards being a smart player and understanding the big picture, not trying to be overly aggressive and really jam it in somewhere.
3rd and 5, and he has Falk, who makes a nifty move to the end zone.
I think the Saints just scored, didn't they? Listen to the people cheering.
Well, there are a lot of Rams fans here, a lot of Marshall Falk fans here.
Guess whose family's sitting there?
Well, he mentioned he's from Harbor High School here in New Orleans. And Marshall Falk, the touchdown reception, his 3rd of the season. It goes for 30 yards. And Wilkins, we see Cecile Falk, Marshall's mother, looking on, will try and make it a 10-point lead, and does. Well, you hit the nail on the head. You said before the game, her son's the MVP in the league, and he looks pretty good right now.
He's making me look good. I like that. I tell you what, though, this is one thing the Rams do. They've got 4 wide receivers, and Marshall Falk is still lined up in the backfield. The one thing when you have him still on the field is that with those 4 wide receivers, they can clear it out. When those 4 wide receivers run down the field, everybody's worried about the 4 wide receivers, and when you have a guy that's a threat such as Marshall Falk, being able to be a second tier and underneath receiver, he is dangerous. Willie Clay, I mean, he didn't have a chance. I mean, there's nobody in the league that can end up stopping Marshall Falk in the open field.
And here's what you like, the bob and weave. You were practicing this last night.
Yeah, I was in my room late last night. I'm trying to understand why Kurt Warner didn't run down there and do the bob and weave.
Well, we talked about it with Oz Hakeem yesterday, who we said, has Warner joined you on the bob and weave? And he said, nope.
I think Oz will get him down there one once he gets a touchdown, and if he gets a touchdown. But, you know, the amazing thing to me is that this team is every team that's been to the Super Bowl seems to have a dance, and they've got it.
No question about that. They've been doing it aplenty, leading the NFL in just about every major statistical offensive category. Billiard sticks his nose in the London Blitzer out to the 25-yard line. Clemens also in on the stop. Like to remind you, coming up on the Visa halftime report, JB, Terry, and Chris will have all the scores and highlights from around the league. And our Fox Sports ticker will have up to the second stats. That's all coming up on the Visa halftime report. Take a look at those numbers in the first half.
The Rams, I mean, have just been blowing people out in the first half of ball games, and later once we get in the ball game, you would think that because they've scored so many points early in the ball game, they wouldn't be as successful towards the latter stages of the game, but they're just as effective in the fourth quarter.
Well, the Saints have 41 seconds left. They throw the ball in the flat, and running out of bounds at the 38-yard line is Lamar Smith. Saints really only a couple of big pass completions away from having a legitimate field goal try before we go to halftime.
Well, they are, but the one thing that they had better be concerned about is making a mistake just like they did last time. If they end up turning the ball over, the Rams have the ability to put the ball in the end zone in 20 seconds from where the ball is now, so they better be careful.
Seconds remain until halftime.
And kind of surprised to see the matchups here. The Saints are in 4 wide receivers, and they end up having one guy in the slot by the name of Lawrence Dawsey, and the Rams are matching up Todd Light against him. I'm surprised that Todd Light is not over on Andre Hastings in the slot on the other side. But, you know, Dick Vermeil may have decided to do that so that he wouldn't have a real full workload against Andre Hastings.
Early movement along the line. A free play perhaps for Tolliver. He's going to try to take advantage, but overthrows Eddie Kennison. Again, a flag down on the field. It looked like the Rams started too early.
Offside, number 93, defense, 5 yards, second down.
Kevin Carter, and here's the guy that we talked about that didn't have much effect on the Saints offense in the first game. Kevin Carter lined up on the left side, got his hand over in the jump starts over the line, and Billy Joe Tolliver utilizing that hard count to keep that jump that the defensive lineman can get in check so that they don't get the advantage over the offensive line.
Second and 5. Tolliver looking around and throws down the field, and it's too far for Lamar Smith. Boy, that looked like a pretty nice throw there by Tolliver.
That was almost 6 points right there.
From here, that looked like a catch that's got to be made.
You can take a look at Lamar Smith. Runs right down the middle of the field and is trying to split the zone coverage. You know, when they have 4 people split out in the formation and run Lamar Smith right up the middle, a lot of times people will not see that guy sneaking up in the middle. They'll be paying attention to the wide receivers, but Lamar Smith, the running back, he got down the field in a hurry there.
Third down and 5, 20 seconds left until halftime. Saints down by 10. His time to catch is made by Smith. He's trying to get to the first down marker, and it appears to be about a yard short. Clock stops with 12 seconds to play until halftime, and the Saints have a pair of timeouts remaining.
He was a good yard and a half short.
Well, they're going to punt it.
No decision. I mean, they have to punt. If they try to go for it with 12 seconds left, the Rams have the ability to score in that short amount of time, or at the very least get a field goal. They have to punt the ball. The fans obviously would like to see them go for it, but that wouldn't be smart for them.
for Tommy Barnhart in his 13th season out of North Carolina. And Oz Hakeem waits. Signals for the fair catch and then juggles the football, but is able to fall back on top of it. And the Rams will have possession at their own 14-yard line. Nearly a disaster for St. Louis.
And one thing when you call for the fair catch, you have to make sure that you have the ball. Because when you single fair catch, a lot of times, all those coverage guys are going to be right on top of you and going to be ready to take that ball if you drop it.
Just seconds away. It'll be the Visa halftime report. James Brown, Terry Bradshaw, my buddy Chris Collinsworth will have the scores and highlights from around the league. And our Fox Sports ticker will have the up to the second stats. It's all coming up on the Visa halftime report. Warner will take a knee. And the Rams fell behind the New Orleans Saints. But Kurt Warner, a pair of touchdown passes, has brought him back for a 24-14 lead. Visa halftime report coming up after these messages and a word from your local Fox station.
We welcome you to the Visa halftime. Howie Long is not with us. He is under the weather. He is not a casualty to the Deion Sanders watch as we take you to the scores. Now to show you that St. Louis now on top of the Saints by 10. Saints were ahead briefly there, but the Rams have come back.
All right, Santa Claus with a big nose. There you go. Brad Johnson back, though. Last week, don't forget, only 4 rushing attempts in the second half by Stephen Davis. Redskins say, let him have the ball early. 50-yard touchdown run. There you go. That's how you do it. 7-0 Skins. Then back, Brad Johnson. All-out blitz inside. Great read from the slot. By far his first touchdown reception of the season. Jake the Snake trying to squeeze one in. If it's tight coverage, come off of it. He did. Intercepted by Champ Bailey. And then back, Michael Westbrook into the corner. Great catch. Nice throw by Brad Johnson. Redskins awfully impressive in the first half at home. 21-3 over the Cardinals.
And an awfully important game for the Giants taking on Doug Flutie and company.
Doug Flutie says, where's the weather? Great day for football. Back, looking left, turning right, firing down the sideline. Eric Moles, 36-yard reception. First play of the game, gets up, makes the slashing motion right here. That's 5,000 yards. You got to quit doing that stuff. 3-0 at this point, Buffalo. Then the screen pass out of the backfield. Thurman Thomas turns it up to a 23-yard score. His first TD of the season. 10-6 Buffalo. And then Armani Toomer. Kerry Collins back. Quick post route. Safety can't get over. Corner is behind. There's Armani Toomer. 3 touchdown receptions last week. This one this week, 13-10. Giants looking good, stuffing the Bills running attack.
Emmitt Smith out injured with the groin, and Greg Ellis, defensive lineman for the Cowboys, out, but the Cowboys still on top.
Quarterbacks cannot see to the blind side. Brett Favre watching. He knows this. Steve Berline back, looking right. There he's hit by, you got it, Santana Dotson, scooped up by Keith McKenzie. Second touchdown, 2 weeks in a row. It's 7-3 Green Bay. Berline back now. Looking right. Here comes your blitz. Man coverage. Drag the man across. That is Patrick Jeffries. One man-on-man coverage. Beat your guy all the way. Beautiful job by Hayes blocking the safety. Sharper 10-7 Carolina. And then never give up on my man Brett Favre. Guns it down to Antonio Freeman. Slowed all season by a growing injury. Lacked the burst, but now getting healthy. Pack looking awfully good, as is Carolina. 14-10 Green Bay.
And Indianapolis, Edgerrin James with only 6 carries and 9 yards, but the Colts are on top. Pittsburgh Ravens have just 3 pass completions in that time, and look at the Bengals. Corey Dillon with 163 yards in the first half and 2 touchdowns. And Chris, you said they were a second half team, but let's talk Dallas and Philadelphia.
We're going to talk Deion Sanders?
Deion Sanders.
You know, because Deion, Tim
Why
Green...
did you slide over? My man seat.
The seat's a little big, to be honest with you.
It is hard to
Tim
fill.
Green, Deion Sanders can do games, too, now.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't have to sit here. He can do games,
comeback,
too,
Chris.
now. But we've got, you're talking about Donovan McNabb's, a guy that I thought had been playing so much better over the last couple of weeks. But up against this Dallas Cowboys defense, that defense has a way of making young quarterbacks look like they're regressing. An outstanding effort on the defensive side today.
I think credit Troy Aikman this week. He's using Chris Warren out of the backfield, running and catching the football. We're running wide to left, and then Tucker and LaFleur. Get David LaFleur, the tight end, involved in the offense, and the Cowboys are doing that in the first half.
Boy, Tim Green and Kenny Albert talking all about the network controlling things.
Good thing that Tim
My
Green
man Tim
passed
Green, great job out there.
Second half of your
gonna need
game
it,
is
Tim
coming up
Green.
right after.
halftime lead. Jim Gallagher caught up with Dick Vermeil a few moments ago. Jimmy.
Guys, thanks a lot with head coach Dick Vermeil. And Dick, a bit of a slow start, but you got to be happy with the finish.
Well, that's a credit to New Orleans. They started fast, and we haven't been able to get them off the field. But when we get the ball, they can't get us off the field. And we haven't tackled real well. But those guys, New Orleans is playing hard. It's a great reflection, positive reflection on their head coach.
Dick, thank you very much. Let's head back upstairs to Tom.
Been quite a homecoming for Marshall Faulk. A pair of touchdowns, and we'll be back for the start of the second half after these messages from your local Fox station.
You're watching Fox NFL Sunday.
St. Louis Rams gunning for their 5th consecutive win, and they have just mauled the opposition, averaging about 34 points per game during this 4-game winning streak. A win today would guarantee that they are unbeaten within their own division this season. Jeff Lageman, after not winning a game inside their division all of last year, they've had some help today. Mistakes towards the end of the first half by Billy Joe Tolliver.
Right, and as you can see, every time you turn the ball over, the end result's going to end up in points, especially when you're playing the St. Louis Rams. 2 touchdowns, both of them off of Billy Joe interceptions.
And it would be a bad turn of events because the Saints were playing well.
Well, they were playing well, but you can see right here, if you make one mistake against the St. Louis Rams defense, they've got some guys in the secondary that can get it done. Todd Light, Dexter McLeon, both made great plays on the ball. Rams ended up getting 14 points off of both turnovers, and Marshall Faulk.
Well, you made a
He's
comment.
the guy.
Right, you made a comment before the game ever started. You believe this guy, and there's some great players in this league, great teammates of his, but you believe he's the MVP of the league.
Oh, no question. And he was the guy that ended up getting the ball that led to the second touchdown off of the turnover. This guy is tremendous. He's so shifty, but without a lot of effort. You know, it's almost like if I was a coach, I would think that this guy wasn't given a lot of effort, but you look at the results, and his results are tremendous.
Faulk has a chance. He's already rushed for better than 1,000 yards. He has a chance to also accumulate 1,000 receiving yards this season.
And that's where he gives you that added dimension. You know, if he can be the receiving threat in the backfield or out of the backfield, that makes him twice as dangerous.
And you see the points off turnovers, those 2 Billy Joe Tolliver interceptions, leading to 14 St. Louis Rams points.
And this is not the situation that the Saints want to be in. Playing with a team that is high-powered offensively, and they're playing from behind, trying to play catch-up. This is not the situation where they're going to excel in.
Take a look at the numbers individually for Marshall Faulk. He came in with the most yards from scrimmage in the NFL, just ahead of the man who actually took his place in Indianapolis, Edgerrin James of the Colts, and you see 88 total yards from scrimmage, including a pair of touchdowns.
And it's going to be interesting to see how long Dick Vermeil leaves his guys, the marquee guys, to Marshall Faulk, to Kurt Warner, in the lineup in the second half of the game if it gets out of control. Because I tell you what, if I'm Dick Vermeil, I don't want to risk getting any of these guys hurt.
Speaking of Mike Ditka, he's standing by with Jim Gallagher along the sideline. Let's go down there now.
Guys, thank you very much with head coach Mike Ditka. Mike, what did you tell the team at halftime?
Well, the turnovers really hurt us. You know, we didn't protect the ball there. That was the biggest thing. We got to get our defense off the field. They got to help themselves, but we got to help it by taking some time off the clock with the offense. I'm not unhappy with a lot of things we've done. They made some big plays on us, and we made 2 bad plays.
Good luck. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Let's head back upstairs to Tom Brennan.
Thank you, Jim. Opening kickoff to begin the second half. And Tony Horn able to bring it out just to the 18-yard line. Tackle made by Dino Filioff. Well, the touchdown pass, Warner to Holcomb to get the Rams on the board. The 9th different receiver on this Rams team with a touchdown reception, and you see the distribution by Warner today.
Yeah, and that's a sign of a mature quarterback to where he can spread the ball throughout his whole offense. Tight ends, running backs, wide receivers, everybody's getting the ball, and he's only giving the ball to people when they're open. It's what the offense is dictating, the defenses are dictating him, and that's a sign of a quarterback that has taken that next step.
Rams begin things on offense, and the give is to Faulk, and he's still on his feet, crossing the 25 out to the 28-yard line. Tackle made there by Chris Bordano. Good pickup by Marshall Faulk. And we understand that Andy McCollum is taken back over at center in place of Mike Rudidoria, who had an injured left knee earlier in the game, did return, but now is out of there.
And that's probably a smart move if the guy has any type of knee injury whatsoever that's going to slow him down. They need to worry about getting him healthy for the rest of the year.
Two tight ends set, I formation. Falk breaks it up through the middle, and he crosses the 40 to the 41-yard line. Tackled there by Willie Clay. A gain of 14 for Marshall Falk.
If you take a look at Adam Timmerman, the right guard, watch the kick-out block that he gets for Marshall Falk on the other side of the line of scrimmage. He does a tremendous job. Take a look right there. Dono gets a good block, allows Marshall Falk to get up into the second level of the defense, and Marshall Falk, this guy is just tremendous. He's got all the things that are needed to be a great back in this league, and he is.
And he'll get it again. He slips and slides and turns his way up close to midfield. Penalty flag, however, down on the play. Falk has rushed for 73 yards in the game.
Going to be offensive holding. Going to bring him back. Bring up a
Holding, number 86, offense. 10 yards, first down.
holding on Roland Williams, the tight end. But take a look at this. This is what we're talking about. Just a little shifty move. Boom, back inside. Allows Fred Miller to get great positioning on the defender. That's what I'm talking about. He is patient running back. Allows his offensive lineman to set up blocks. You know, even if this guy ends up with 150 yards or 160 yards, every time he carries the ball, it's exciting and it's amazing to me that he can do it when it looks like he's not even trying hard.
First and 20, Werner fell down in a one-handed reception made back behind him by the rookie Torrey Holt.
Well, I tell you, when things are going good, things are going good. You know, you think about it, Torrey Holt is smiling. He can't believe it either. But this is a guy, Torrey Holt. Where's he been in the first half? You know, we haven't seen a lot of him yet.
Or Hakeem, for that matter.
No, we haven't. I mean, it's been Isaac Bruce.
Well, if I were going to a local casino here in New Orleans, I'd wear a Rams helmet. That's how things are going for them this season and today.
Right, and then that's probably a situation where Kurt Warner should not have thrown the ball, because I guarantee you he didn't see completely what he was throwing.
Fired across the middle, and again it's Holt. We haven't called his name the entire day, and now back-to-back receptions, a first down inside New Orleans territory to the 43, a gain of 19.
Take a peek at Torrey Holt. Just releases out, and it's man coverage. Fred Wary doesn't have a chance when you don't get a bump on the line of scrimmage.
Third leading receiver for the Rams this season, came in with 33 receptions on the year. In the first meeting against the Saints, he had 5 catches for 87 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Back on the ground, the Falk. Wayne Martin, the first man to meet him after picking up 2, maybe 3 yards.
And I tell you what, if these guys are scoreboard watching, they're not getting any help, because the Redskins are beating the Cardinals. What's the score now?
21-3.
21-3. But you know, I tell you what, they have such a record that's in advance of everybody else. All they have to worry is taking care of their own business. They don't have to worry about anybody else.
They pitch it to Falk. It was read beautifully, but he's able to at least get back to the line of scrimmage. Bordano able to finally trip him up. There you see the Redskins leading 21-3. And the Rams could clinch a first-round bye in the NFC playoffs with a victory here today and a Washington loss or tie. But never count out Jake Plummer and the Arizona Cardinals. They come into that game looking like the Rams for their 5th straight win. Third and 9. Amp Lee checks in. Warner, great protection, great throw, another first down. Isaac Bruce the catch and steps out of bounds at the 14. Boy, this is an offensive juggernaut.
What a great read. Oh, you couldn't do it any better. It's all it is. Take a look at Isaac Bruce. He runs up the field, and then watch what happens. He's just going to bend it out. They're stretching the defense. And Kurt Warner is so patient. He sees it happening. He's reading the defense. The ball is thrown before he's even turned his head back to the quarterback. Great anticipation by Kurt Warner. And you know what? Great job by Mike Marks, because he's the guy that is getting this chunk offense, is what Dick Vermeil calls it, going here in the second half.
They fake the throw. They go to the end zone where it's intercepted. Fred Weary will bring it out. He's across the 20 and shoved out of bounds at the 23-yard line. So a rare mistake made by Kurt Warner. First turnover of the game by Warner and the Rams. So with 10 minutes to play in the third quarter, the Saints will get the football trailing by 10. We're back at the Superdome where Kurt Warner is talking things over with his offensive coordinator Mike Martz over the interception made in the end zone by Fred Weary. So the Saints have the ball, their first possession of the second half. Flag down on the play. Will Montgomery stays on his feet, and he's out close to a first down, but we'll see.
It's going to be offsides on the defense. They use the hard count right there to draw the defensive line off the ball, and they did a good job with it. And then there's a great example of the big back, Ramlin, doing a good job of breaking.
Offside defense, holding number 85 offense. The penalty's offset. Replay the down. First down.
Going back to the interception, you take a look at Isaac Bruce, split out on the right side of the formation. You know, Dick Vermeil talked about the big picture, not forcing things. Take a look at the double coverage by Willie Clay and Fred Weary. It wasn't a very good decision to throw the ball in there. You don't have to force things in there. If you looked at the formation, he had another guy that only had single coverage where he could have gotten the ball in. But, you know, there's an example of him wanting to go to his favorite receiver.
Hastings in motion. We replay the down, but they give it to Perry. Not much room this time. As he carries off to the left side. Wistrom, the first man to meet him, along with 10-year veteran Ray Agnew.
And you know who else got a little pop in there is Mike Jones. Mike Jones is trying to take every shot that he can and put it on Will Montgomery because he got such a great one in the last meeting. And, of course, Will Montgomery was talking that he wanted a little payback on Mike Jones for this game, and so far it has not happened.
Second and 8. They're coming after Tolliver. He has to get rid of it in a hurry. Had an eye on Poole, but it's too high. Good coverage on the play by Devin Bush.
We talked to Dick Vermeil, and he says, you know, the guy that takes care of everything for his defense right there, Mike Jones, number 52. Watch him in on the blitz. Comes up the field. Him, along with the other linebacker, number 56, Charlie Clemens, do a good job of pressuring Billy running back, and ended up being signed as a free agent by the Raiders and took a couple years to develop. And boy, has he developed. He's a fantastic player.
And Missouri, born and raised, Mike Jones, a native of Kansas City, played football for the Missouri Tigers, and down goes Billy Joe Tolliver.
And it's Grant Wistrom. You know, this is the second play that he's made against the Pro Bowler, Willie Rote. Well, you wouldn't think that Grant Wistrom would be able to put it to Willie Rote. That's Grant Wistrom at the top of your screen. Look, it's just a little stunt. The same thing that he got beat before on the pressure that created the interception for the Rams. Willie Rote needs to be doing a better job of shutting that inside push down against Grant Wistrom.
And even took it easy on Billy Joe Tolliver. Just a big old bear hug. Punted away. Oz Hakeem is met immediately and tackled at the 34-yard line. Terrific special teams coverage there by the Saints, but they trail by 10.
This is the injury to Vincent Smith, the linebacker from New Orleans Saints. Comes down on his, looks like his left knee, got landed on by two guys right there. And as you can see him kind of pulling pain there on the sideline. He is obviously not in a whole lot of comfort with that left knee.
24-14, Rams lead it. They have the football and a quick throw to Torrey Holt. And he's out to the 43-yard line, a gain of 8. We remind you tonight on Fox, a madman is loose on an all-new King of the Hill. That'll be followed by The Simpsons and an all-new Futurama. And then a new X-Files, so shocking it should have never been opened. It all starts with the world's funniest at 7 Eastern, 6 Central tonight on Fox. I know you're a big fan of the X-Files.
I am a big X-Files fan. I'll tell you what, today I'm a fan of the St. Louis Rams. Look at the yardage that they've had since the end of the first quarter, 237 yards. That's incredible.
They lead the NFL in total offense this season. Falk is picking his way through the defense. defense and has enough for a first down out to the 46-yard line.
And this is where the Saints players can get somewhat deflated. You know, they're 2-10. They're getting beat by the division champs. They're at home. There's probably how many people are here?
40, maybe 1,000, maybe.
You know, this is not a great experience for these players. And now's the point where you're going to find out. Mike Dick is going to find out which are the players that he can count on when the thing is down such as this.
Long ball, and the pass is caught by Holt. And he's all the way to the 15-yard line. So Holt, who only had one reception in the entire first half, has caught 4 balls here in the second half.
Torrey Holt, who was a little absent in the first half, is becoming a major factor here in the second half. All he does is run a go route. Fred Weary doesn't have the speed to keep up with him. Great ball by Kurt Warner. And you know what? I wonder if the Saints players are now starting to think, well, are they running the score up on us? You know, I hope Dick Vermeil puts 50 points on the board because it's their job as Saints defenders to stop it.
272 yards now for Kurt Warner, and he's looking for more. Pump fake, he's headed for the end zone to throw, batted and knocked down by Weary. Good coverage that time.
And that was the attempted double move. Didn't work, but last week, this is incredible. I mean, it doesn't happen very often that you have a 300-yard passer, a 100-yard rusher, and 200-yard receivers. The fearsome foursome.
Yes, and it was the first time, in fact, it's happened in Rams franchise history.
That's the 90s version of the fearsome foursome.
Yes, it is. Holcomb and Falk in the backfield. It'll be Marshall, and he's inside the 15, down to the 12-yard line. It'll bring up third down for the Rams, trying to extend their lead with 6:20 to play here in the third quarter. Dick Vermeil, 62 years old, his third season back in the NFL as a head coach. Of course, he was with Philadelphia, took them to the Super Bowl. Struggled the first 2 years, but he told us yesterday, Jeff, that he came here not to build a one-year wonder. He came here to build a program, and that they've done.
And he said that, you know, when he was with the Philadelphia Eagles, he had 18 to 20 guys he could count on, but he said top to bottom, from the first to the 53rd guy this year, it's the best group that he's ever had.
Look at Warner scrambling around, and a wise decision there. Just throws it away. Uhuru Hamida applying the pressure.
But you know, it's amazing how many great thoughts you can have about your players when you're winning. When you're 10-2, I mean, it's hard to have anything bad to say about any of your players, especially when the year before you did not have a win in the division, and this year you're on your way to being undefeated in the division.
Wilkins on for a 30-yard field goal try. It's up, and it is good. So the Rams tack on 3 more, and they're in front by 13. 5:40 to play here in the third quarter. Tom Brenneman, Jeff Lageman, Jim Gallagher at the Superdome in New Orleans. St. Louis with a 27-14 lead. Bill Yaw will field a kick at the 5 and come back all the other way and bring it out to the 28-yard line. So the Saints will try and get back in it. Back in New Orleans, where it's 27-14 in favor of the Rams. And the give is to Wilmot Perry. Big hole off the right side. And stiff arms his way all the way out to the 42-yard line. London Fletcher able to run him down. Well, Vincent Smith, when he left the game a moment ago, he flipped his gloves into the stands, and check out these two ladies that have them.
Look at him. You know, Vincent Smith thought he was doing them a nice thing by giving them this game gloves, but look at them. Look at them, both smelling. She just smelled, the lady on the left just smelled it, and the other lady on the right just smelled it at the same time. They're going, ugh. My kids will love this, but I have to carry this for the rest of the game?
Oh, don't get too close to her. Perry again, and he is met immediately first down. Go to second down and 10 yards to go. Let's send it downstairs to our man on the sideline, Jim Gallagher.
Tom, thank you very much. I'm with Rams quarterback Trent Green. And Trent, I know you've got to be happy for Kurt Warner, but it's got to be hard watching somebody else running what is going to be your offense.
Yeah, it is. It's tough to watch, but I'm happy for the team. We clinched up the division. The guys are playing real well. Defense is playing well. And like you said, Kurt's playing outstanding this year. So I'm just looking forward to getting healthy and getting back in there.
What's it look like for next year for you?
Right now, it's just my main thing is getting healthy. I don't know what's going to transpire over the course of the off season. Obviously, Kurt's having a good year, and his contract's up. So what exactly happens in the off season, the team will decide and do what's in the best interest of them. And right now, they're saying they're going to keep both of us, and we'll just go from there.
Best of luck to you, Trent. Thank you very much. Let's head back upstairs.
Jeff Scanina picking up the sack on Billy Joe Tolliver. So to bring up third and long for the Saints. Well, for Trent Green, he's a St. Louis native, and this has to be tough. You heard his words a moment ago, but boy, what a problem to have. Trent Green and Kurt Warner next year.
Yeah, but I wouldn't anticipate Dick Vermeil keeping both of them for long because one of them is going to be too valuable to another team. In other words, you could trade that guy and get draft picks and improve your team in other areas. In this day and age of free agency, you've got to be constantly improving your roster because you're always losing guys.
Throw over the middle, intended for Cleveland, and it's broken up by Billy Jenkins. So the Saints will have to punt it right now. Let's punt to James Brown in the Fox Network Center for an NFL update.
And caught on this in time to tell you that Troy Aikman hooking up with David LaFleur at the back of the end zone. Good read by LaFleur as he slowed up reading the coverage. Dallas up by 20-3 late in the third. Back to Tom Brenneman and Jeff Lageman.
Thank you, JB. Washington leading Arizona. Redskins trying to extend their lead in the division. Dallas trying to keep within a game. Contact made as Hakeem fielded the punt. Contact with his own player. And he's down at the 25. That's where the Rams will put it in play when we return. 3:34 to play in the third. Kevin Carter and the Rams in front 27-14. 3:34 to play here in the third quarter. Rams have already wrapped up the NFC Western Division Championship. And now they have their eye on home field advantage throughout the playoffs. They're trying to win their 5th straight game.
And you can see that the Rams are in their 2 tight ends and 2 backs. They're just going to come out and try and pound the Saints defense.
Big run by Marshall Faulk. And he's all the way to the Saints' 40-yard line. There is a flag down on the field.
And it's going to be brought back. There's going to probably be some type of holding on his downfield blocking by his wide receiver, it looked like.
2 big runs taken away by Faulk, if that is the case.
15-yard face mask, 42 defense. That will be enforced from the end of the play. First down.
It's Willie Clay.
And now this is going to get ugly in the second half. If you take a look at Marshall Faulk, freeze it right there. There it is right there. Grab the hold of the face mask. You can't do that. Willie Clay doesn't take a good angle. If he would move his feet just a little bit better, wouldn't be in the position to grab face mask. But I mean, Marshall Faulk once again.
And that puts unofficially Marshall Faulk over the 100-yard rushing mark today with 102. His 4th consecutive game. For the first time he's done that in his career, rushing for 100 or more yards. And again, this is a homecoming for Faulk.
And you could see Kurt Warner milking the play clock, trying to take as much time off the clock as possible.
Faulk just sticks his nose in there and makes his way to the 22-yard line. Well, the Rams clinch the division with a win over Carolina. They celebrated big time on the field and at the airport on Sunday night when better than 1,000 fans braved a bitterly cold evening to celebrate the return of their Western champion.
And there's nothing more, couldn't get a better feeling as a player than having the fans greet you in that type of situation where they're not expected to be, and you don't expect it as a player, but they're there to greet you. It's a great feeling as a player.
2nd and 6, Warner in trouble, and he'll lead it. Down he goes, back to the 30-yard line. Wrapped up by Willie Whitehead.
And I'm glad glad that he didn't use the slash gesture, which he got fined $5,000 for $5,000 a couple weeks ago when the NFL instituted the rule about banning the slash. Willie Whitehead forgot it in a moment. I guess he did the low slash down there around the
That's it. Fifth sack of the season for Whitehead in his first full year in the league out of Auburn. They'll hand it off on third down and 16 to Falk. He gets inside the 25-yard line, so they'll send out the field goal unit. The Rams are trying to become, or actually they are already, the 16th team in NFL history, 16th, to go from worst to first in consecutive seasons. In contrast, in St. Louis, one of the great baseball towns in America, only 7 teams in the history of baseball have gone from worst to first. Most recently, the Arizona Diamondbacks during this 1999 season.
You had to get that in there, didn't you?
Absolutely. Booted by Wilkins, and he missed it. Wide left.
How long and hard did you do research to get the Arizona Rattlers somewhere in the statistics of this game?
A long, long time. Give the credit to our stat man, Mark Wagner. And Dick Vermeil very unhappy with the missed field goal by Wilkins.
As you can see, Wilkins building. He just pulls it a little bit left. You know, the Rams, this game is not put away by any stretch. They've got a 13-point lead. If the Saints get 2 scored, they win the ball game. So the Rams cannot afford to relax, and that's why Dick Vermeil. You know, this is where the coach has to get his team to focus in a situation like this. Don't relax because the game is not over yet.
Troy Davis, and he's shoved out of bounds right at midfield. Good pickup on first down. We remind you next week on Fox NFL Sunday, Michael Strahan and the Giants come to St. Louis to take on the Rams. Or other regional action coverage begins with a pregame show at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific. How about that Washington-Indianapolis game next week here on Fox? That ought to be a good one.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be a real good one. But I tell you what, this game right here is not over by any stretch.
Under a minute to play in the third, and Tolliver back to throw. Steps up and throws too high. Dexter McLeon nearly had his second interception of the afternoon.
Yeah, he'd like to have that one back. No question about it. An errant throw by Billy Joe Tolliver. You have to take advantage of errant throws. You got to make plays like that. And Dexter McLeon, he'd like to have that one back again. I mean, if you look at it, the end result, where were the Saints guys? The nearest Saint guy was about 7-8 yards away.
See the numbers on Tolliver. The 2 interceptions led to 14 St. Louis points. They hand it to Perry, and not much running room. Tripped up by Wistrom, had help from Mike Jones. DeMarco Farr initially messed up the play.
There's a rabid Saints fan right there. See?
Or somebody who's been on Bourbon Street too long. Which would you bet on?
I tell you what, if I wanted to get a nap, one of the places that I probably wouldn't want to come to would be a Saints game. But hey, you know what? It's not going to be loud in here. They don't have enough people to make this place loud. That's one of these things that's kind of been talked about all week was Tom Benson and the fans and possible relocation of selling the team.
It's end of the third quarter. Rams in front 27-14. Fox NFL Sunday will continue after a word from your local Fox station.
You're watching Fox NFL Sunday.
Tom Brenneman, Jeff Lageman, our entire NFL Fox crew right here at the Superdome in New Orleans. And you said it a moment ago, this one not over yet. 13-point spread.
Well, the Saints definitely are not out of this ballgame by any stretch. They're only down by 13 points. And if they can put together a good play here on third down, which they don't, they could end up having a good day. The Saints need to start converting on third down. We talked earlier in the show about how their third down percentage is not ranked very high in the league, about 21st in the league. They need to start converting third down situations, or another way to do it is to be successful on first and second down. But, they need to play catch-up, and they're going to get into third down situations. They've got to start converting.
Well, you know what the fan is saying right now that has spent his or her hard-earned money to come to this game. They're saying you're 2-10, you have the ball at midfield, you're down by 13. Why not go for it?
Yeah, but I don't disagree with this call. I think it's smart. I mean, there's still almost 15 minutes, a whole quarter to play in the ball game, so you're going to have more than 2 chances to score.
Oz Hakeem signals for a fair catch. There's a penalty flag down on the field, and they may have roughed the kicker, Tommy Barnhart. If so, that'll be an automatic first down. We'll see.
Is it going to be running into, or is it going to be roughing? It could be the difference between a first down and not a first down.
Running into the kicker.
The New Orleans Saints will decline that penalty because it wouldn't give them a first down unless they choose to try to attempt to do the fourth down over again to try to make the first down.
And that's what they're going to do. You hit the nail right on the head, Jeff. That makes it fourth down, and rather than 9, right, it'll be 4th and 4. So Mike Ditka is going to send his offense back onto the field and attempt to convert on 4th down.
And this is a good move by Mike Ditka. 4th and 9 with 15 minutes to go. I don't agree with that call because your percentages of converting on a 4th and 9 situation aren't very high. But with the 5-yard penalty now, it becomes 4th and 4. Sure, why not go ahead and take a shot at it? Your percentages are higher in this situation.
Well, the ball spotted at the 42-yard line. They need to get just inside the 39. Actually, they're going to spot it outside the 43. So it is 4th and 4.
And the other thing they could do in this situation is not snap the ball, but try to draw him off sides. But with him in shotgun, I wouldn't expect it on this play.
Hastings in motion, hard count, but the Rams didn't bite, and it's batted down at the line of scrimmage. It looked like DeMarco Farr who got his hand on the pass from Tolliver. So the Saints go for it on 4th down and fail. Rams get it back when we return with 14:41 to play. Back at the Superdome, 27-14, the Rams in front. Just underway here in the 4th quarter. And the Rams have the football 1st and 10 from their own 42-yard line. Falk able to avoid 3 would-be tacklers. A huge gain for Falk, still on his feet inside the 30-yard line. Caught from behind by Chris Bordano. And Marshall Falk, a native of St. Louis, a native of New Orleans, a huge day today.
They catch the New Orleans Saints in a blitz. Look at all the guys in the backfield, but none of them make the block. Fred Miller ends up blocking about 3 guys just by himself. And the nifty Marshall Falk, he's going to make you pay if he can beat you right through the line of scrimmage against a blitz.
Now Ricky Williams, you see, can only stand and watch. Williams missing his 3rd straight game with a turf toe injury. Holcomb will get the football this time, and he's met at the line of scrimmage, maybe picked up a yard. Williams was really starting to play well. He struggled early in the year. He's had a battle through numerous injuries. The first 5 games, he only had 202 rushing yards, but the last 5 games prior to the injury, over 500 yards.
And it's that turf toe that is keeping him out now, and Mike Ditka talked about Calvin Hill having the injury very similar to this that ended his career while he was in Dallas. So Ditka's very concerned about putting him in the lineup, and this is great for Ricky Williams to be able to watch Marshall Falk do it at such a high level. I mean, it's just like I like to watch him.
5 yards, 2nd down.
As a player, I always like to watch the great pass rushers, and Ricky Williams is great.
Oh, what Ricky is that? That's the way you used to wear your hair back when you played for the Jets, wasn't it?
No.
A little longer than that,
no,
though.
Mine was definitely uglier than that. But this is a great experience for him. I mean, to watch a guy do it in both facets of the game, in the running game and the passing game.
Rams have piled up 407 yards of total offense thus far, and we still have nearly a full quarter remaining. As Hakeem in motion. Falk checks back in, and he's inside the 30. Right now, let's return to James Brown in the Fox Network Center for an NFL update.
Tom, take a look at Kerry Collins taking the Giants in for what was thought to be a score. Passes pass tipped by Sean Price. Marcellus Wiley picks it out of the air. Take a look at the big fella. 52 yards later, he heads to the sidelines, but it did lead to a 2-yard run for a score by Jonathan Linton. Buffalo on top by 1 in the 4th. Tom and Jeff.
Hey, Tom, I'm always amazed at how one good performance by a quarterback, a la Kerry Collins last week, and all of a sudden he's the savior and he's going to be a great quarterback for the next 10-year statement.
See it all the time. Falk makes a reception. He's wrapped up by Keith Mitchell. Depending on the spot, he may be about a half-yard shy of a first down. He is short, and the Rams once again will send out the field goal unit.
They need to get one more score on the board, whether it be a field goal or a touchdown, and then all of a sudden it becomes a 3-score game for the New Orleans Saints. So this is a critical situation here for the St. Louis Rams if they're going to really put away the New Orleans Saints.
Wilkins is hit on 2 of 3. This try will be from 40 yards. Robinson, snapper, Horan the holder, and this one will draw. Nope. It misses wide right after missing wide left his last attempt. And Dick Vermeil is livid. His team, however, still leads by 13.
Take a look at the last play, the missed field goal by Jeff Wilkins. The one thing that has changed for him, and that Mike Horan, the punter, who was signed because of the injury to the punter that was put on injury reserve, Rick Tootin, he's got a different holder at midpoint of the season. So I'm wondering if that has affected his kicking rhythm at all.
Well, there's certainly something wrong, and Dick Vermeil wants it straightened out in a hurry. Wilmot Perry wrapped up first by Ray Agnew and then joined by a host of teammates. No gain on the play, 11:09 left. And you see, second half possessions. Not much for New Orleans.
And the thing that's not much about it is the yards. -6, 10, and 26 on 3 possessions. That's not getting it done. And you see the Saints around in their hurry-up offense. And I'm wondering, do they really need to do this? They still have 11 minutes left on the game clock.
Tolliver has to get rid of it and is able to complete the pass to Eddie Kennison. Been a quiet day for the former Ram here. Picks up 5 yards. It'll bring up 3rd and 5.
And that's Kevin Carter unblocked to the quarterback.
How does a guy with 14 sacks go unblocked?
I don't know. I wish I had a few of them in my career. If I had about 10 of them a year, I think I'd be all right.
You're right about that. 3rd and 5. Tolliver pump fake. And now he fires incomplete to the near side. Had an eye on Keith Poole. So it's 3 and out for New Orleans.
And New Orleans tried to set up a screen right there. But one of the guys, the linebackers for the Rams, ended up reading it and knocking off the running back, the receiver that couldn't get set up for the screenplay. That's the one thing about running a screenplay. Your receivers are running downfield, and if the guy whose intention is the intended receiver on the screen doesn't get the ball, your other receivers aren't en routes looking for the ball.
Hakeem fields at the 14. Out across the 20, the 25, and tackled at the 30-yard line. Penalty flags down. Dino Billiard getting down the field, able to make the tackle.
And London Fletcher doesn't seem very happy. The penalty might have been on him. Starting middle linebacker for the Rams, and this guy plays on just about every special teams there is.
Illegal block above the waist, in the back, during the return, number 59. Half the distance to the goal line, first down, timeout.
And it was was London Fletcher, whistled for the infraction. 9:51 to go, and the Rams lead it 27-14.
Going back to the return, that's London Fletcher on the block right there. Obvious easy call for the referee. Right in his back. Got to get in front of the guy or onto his side. You can't be in the back. And his reaction is, what do you mean? Boy, that was easy.
First down from their own 5. They pitch it to Marshall Faulk, who's able to at least make his way back to the line of scrimmage. I'd like to remind you, coming up next, the second half of our Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. The Detroit Lions clash with Warren Sapp and the Tampa Bay Bucks in an all-out battle for first in the NFC Central. That's coming up next, right here on Fox. Boy, what a game that should be.
That is going to be a good football game. The NFC Central is kind of in a big pile right now, and nobody's kind of risen to the top. It's going to be interesting to see how Detroit and Tampa Bay match up. Both teams are trying to get into that first place in that division. It doesn't look like there's going to be a clear front runner at this point.
Pass and a catch, and still on his feet is Torrey Holt. The ball comes loose. It looked like Holt was able to gather it back in. He's all the way out to the 38-yard line, and that's a first down for St. Louis. And Kurt Warner has just gone over 300 yards passing.
Take a look at the play. Great catch. I thought he should have stayed to the outside right there and just tried to outrun Keith Mitchell, the linebacker, and that was a fumble, but a very aware player, for a young player especially, Torrey Holt, to reach out and get that ball back.
Weary ripped it out of there. But Holt able to get it back, and Kurt Warner, his 7th 300-yard passing day of the season. He broke the Rams franchise record with 6 300-yard passing games in a season last week, and now 310 yards through the air today. He signals a timeout, 8:19 left, and the Rams in front by 13. 27-14, the Rams in front, 8:19 to go. And Jeff Lageman, you've been saying all day you think Marshall Faulk is the MVP of the league. Some fans might say, what about the St. Louis quarterback?
Well, they can definitely make an argument to that case. There's no question about it. But I think in this team, if you look at the balance they have, both throwing and running the ball, Marshall Faulk provides that. And I think without a quality talent around him, Kurt Warner probably wouldn't be having the greatest amount of success that he's having now.
Isaac Bruce, the intended receiver, slightly overthrown by Warner, who's aired it out again. He's hit on 18 of 28, 310 yards. Just an unbelievable story, and many in St. Louis watching the game today. There's been so much attention focused on this young man, young, 28 by NFL standards, not necessarily that young, but both his journey through his football career and really his journey in life. It's just a wonderful story, and how can you not root for Kurt Warner?
No question about it. Talking to Dick Vermeil yesterday, the one thing that and also to Kurt, he said, you know, if there was ever a young quarterback in the National Football League that had the opportunity to go play in Canada, in the Arena League, or in NFL Europe, he strongly suggests, he said, because there is no substitute for the repetitions that he has gotten through the last couple years. And he wouldn't have gotten those if he had just been a third guy on an NFL roster. He would have been sitting back holding a clipboard and occasionally running the scout team and getting a few reps in training camp. The way that he took it, his route that he took, he got more reps than a 13 quarterback would get anywhere else.
Third down and 3. Faulk has now rushed for 153 yards today. Warner will throw, and another first down. This is a third down converting machine, this St. Louis club.
Didn't we talk about the fearsome foursome from last week in Carolina?
Right.
It's another foursome. This is last week versus Carolina with Warner, Faulk, Bruce, and Hakeem. But take a look at the switch. The only difference is one guy. Instead of Hakeem, it's Holt. For once again, the second consecutive week, they have a 300-yard passer, a 100-yard rusher, and 200-yard receivers. And before the day is done, they might end up having another 100-yard receiver.
Yeah, they might. Faulk Dick has 54 yards receiving, although he'll take the pitch here and stay in bounds.
Smart play.
Yep.
Very smart play. Keep the clock going. But I'm sure Marshall wants to be able to get this game over with as fast as possible so he can spend some time with family members.
This guy's just a great football player.
He is. He's got an awareness about him, both in the running game and the passing game, but just like in that situation, about Dick Vermeil, what he calls the big picture. You know, a lot of running backs don't have the awareness that when it's in the fourth quarter with 6.5 minutes left, you know, a lot of them might try to get that burst of speed to get around the corner to get a few more yards. Marshall says, I might get a few yards, but I'll get run out of bounds. He made the decision to stay in bounds in a very smart way.
And they run a play clock all the way down to 1, and Falk will get it again, and the yards continue to pile up as he gets down to the New Orleans 42-yard line.
Tackle for the Saints. 8 and 5. It'll be 3rd and 6. St. Louis.
Falk now with 157 yards rushing. Again, a reminder tonight on Fox, it'll be King of the Hill, The Simpsons, Futurama, and an all-new X-Files. It begins with the world's funniest at 7 Eastern, 6 Central tonight on Fox.
Hey, Tom, you know anybody at Fox that can send me a tape of the X-Files? Because I'm probably going to miss it on the plane.
Absolutely. They're watching in Hollywood right now.
You're big time at Fox. You can get that done for me.
A real big time operator. There's a throw, and it's caught. What a move by Hakeem, and he's on his way, finally caught at the 18-yard line by Sammy Knight.
Now we talked about maybe getting another 100-yard receiver. That's the guy, Hakeem. He's the only one of the trio that doesn't have 100 yards. Take a look at Hakeem in motion going across the formation. Kurt Warner does a great job getting them ball. I mean, look at the timing of that route. That's the kind of route that last week ended up killing Carolina because of the blitz. Panthers paid. He made them pay big. He ended up having 2 catches for over, I think one was about 48 and one was 53 yards.
Right. Well, what another delightful young man to talk to yesterday. Hazir Hakeem.
He likes to be called just Oz.
Yes, he does. But again, he promised us last night that if he were to be fortunate enough to get into the end zone, he was going to do all he could to bring Kurt Warner along for some bobbing and weaving.
I can see a poster in his future, The Wizard of Oz. You know, we didn't talk to him. We talked about all these the skill position guys, but after this play, I want to talk a little bit about this offensive line, which we haven't talked much about today.
They give it to Falk, shakes a couple of tacklers, but then is finally dragged down, coming all the way up from a strong safety position. Sammy Knight had help from Alex Molden. But what about this line?
If you look at it, although we have one of the starters down right now, Grudadoria, but you look at their offensive line, and so far this year, out of the 12 games that they've played, that line has been intact. In the beginning of the game, 10 of those 12 games. The only one that missed time was Tom Newton, and he missed 2 games because of injury, and Andy McCollum subbed in for him, but it's so rare to have an offensive line in the NFL that would play together for that amount of games.
Warner throws, it's caught by Falk. Look at those moves. Stays in bounds. He didn't get to the first down marker, but wow.
Well, I tell you, Kurt Warner took a pretty good shot there, and I guarantee you that Coach Dick Vermeil, every time he takes a hit, he grits his teeth a little bit. But Marshall Falk, take a look at the hit. Falls on the front of him, but he gets up, he's tough, and Marshall Falk is tremendous. I mean, watch just a couple little moves here to avoid these hits. 1, 2, and 3, and ducks under the third guy.
Well, you've heard of 3 strikes and you're out. Wilkins has missed his last 2.
If he misses this one, Vermeil might try to rip his helmet off on the sideline.
Well, this one is right down the middle. He knew it was coming, and it is good from 38 yards away. And look at this. Big, deep breath. Finally, we get it right. Well, he scolded Wilkins Wilkins when he came off the field a moment ago, and in Vermeil style, he'll now pat him on the back, a big hug.
And it was kind of funny because before when he was scolding Wilkins on the sideline, Wilkins kind of had a smile on his face and was laughing. And this time he's still smiling, laughing, and Dick Vermeil comes over and gives him a hug. But you know, I'm curious, is having a new holder in Mike Horan affected his kick somewhat? You know, the one thing about a kicker, they like to have a rhythm, they like to have consistency, and a big part of that is the holder. Watch the expression on his face right here.
Oh. That's not the look of a coach who's about to go 11-2.
No, it's not. But it's, you know, I'll tell you what, that's the look of a highly competitive person. And he knows that this game is not out of reach. Now, forget it. The game's toast.
Warner on the 74-yard drive did 4 of 5 for 67 of those yards.
And the impressive thing on that drive was 7 minutes and 22 seconds were burned off the play clock.
2:29 to play. And Phil Yaw brings it out across the 30 out to the 34-yard line. Tony Horn coming down to make the tackle, had some help. Charlie Clemens was there as well. Told you the Rams could clinch a first-round bye in the NFC playoffs with a win and a Washington loss or tie. Well, the Rams appear to be on their way to winning this one. Well, how about the Redskins and the Cardinals? They've gone to the fourth quarter, and the Skins in front 21-3.
And it's been a very business-like approach by the Rams today. You haven't seen them play with a lot of emotion. You haven't seen a whole lot of excitement about them, but they've just gone about their business and got it done.
Oliver is dragged down by Jay Williams, getting his second sack of the year. You know, we talked so much about the Rams today, but Jeff Lageman, how about these Saints? At the opposite end of the spectrum, the owner Tom Benson released a statement the middle of the week guaranteeing the fans that changes would be made. He wouldn't specify what those changes may be, but as you can well imagine, there's been a great deal of speculation amongst the local media and the local fans as to what should be done. Mike Ditka's in his third year. As we reach a 2-minute warning, and we'll pick up that topic of conversation. It's been all Marshall, the Marshall Plan today. We were talking a moment ago about the statement issued by Tom Benson, the New Orleans Saints owner, pledging that at the end of the regular season he will take whatever steps are necessary to reestablish the Saints as a winning franchise. That news came out on Wednesday. And ever since then, it's been basically a feeding frenzy as to everybody giving their opinion or opinions as to what changes should be made. Completion made down the middle to Andre Hastings to the 47-yard line.
Yeah, and I think everybody's name within that organization has been tossed around as potential people to end up getting fired. From Bill Kuharich to Danny Abramowitz to Zavin Uralian. I mean, who knows? Mike Ditka. But the one thing you talk about Mike Ditka, you're talking about $10 million commitment that they have towards Mike Ditka in his contract over the next few years.
Yeah, Ditka with a contract that runs through the 2002 season. You get a look at Danny Abramowitz, the offensive coordinator. Yep.
And then you've got Bill Kuharich, the general manager, who just signed a contract extension last year. So Tom Benson is not going to just waste money and fire everybody. He just can't do that. And the players-wise, you can't fire every player that you would like to because of the salary cap implications.
And then it all comes back to the Saints, and depending on who you want to blame or credit, whether it's Kuharich, whether it's Ditka trading an entire draft class to acquire Ricky Williams this year, 2 additional picks looking ahead of their draft next year, including a first-round pick, and more specifically, what would be right now the second pick in the draft behind only the Cleveland Browns.
Well, and we talked to Mike Ditka. If you're back, and he never gave us a resounding yes or no either way. If you're back, what's the first change you do make? He said, well, I overestimated the talent that we had at quarterback. Well, Mike has backed himself in a corner, and Bill Kuharich has, because they traded the entire 99 draft minus the second-round pick that they traded for Eddie Kedison, and then next year they're losing the first and third. How how do you rebuild your franchise when you've given away your draft picks? That's tough to do.
Well, there's been a challenge made by the replay official on this pass completion, a would-be pass completion to Andre Hastings. And again, in the last 2 minutes of the half or the game, a coach cannot challenge. It has to come from upstairs, the replay official.
And this is a catch, no question. I don't know why they're reviewing this. He clearly has the ball. His body is underneath of the ball. It's easy. Sometimes I wonder whether the replay official upstairs calls down to say, I want to review this play, just to go ahead and review a play, just to make sure that the system's working, that all the electronics are working. It's a waste of time because, I mean, it's taken us 5 seconds to look at the play and determine that it was a catch. Everybody at home, take a look at this play and be the official. You're up in the booth. This is your monitor upstairs in the replay booth. And how many times do you have to look at this to determine that it was a catch? Body's under it. Got the ball. Catch. Next play. Let's get the game going. But, you know, we were talking about Mike Ditka backing himself in somewhat of a hole because of the, you know, he says that I overestimated the talent on this football team. Well, I mean, how is he going to end up building that talent back up?
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. Catch, first down.
How are you going to get that talent up to a level that you expected it to be at when you end up sacrificing an entire year's draft minus the second round and next year's, which is going to be possibly the first or second pick of the draft because of their record, and a third-round draft pick, which is... The draft is always a crapshoot. If Ricky Williams goes out next week and ends up tearing a knee up like a Robert Edwards did in New England, then you've lost 2 draft classes completely. Drafting is always a roll of the dice, and you never trade away that many picks for one person because of the health situation.
Jay Williams getting his second sack of the afternoon, his third of the game. Our game today produced by Raymond B. Smoltz III, directed by Joe Assetti. Our associate director, Bobby Grossman. Our broadcast associate, Wayne Wilson. And down again goes Tolliver. Jeff Scanina picking up the sack. Our technical producer, Marvin Kale. The studio show produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. The associate director is Jennifer Love. The senior producer, Bill Brown. And the executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorn and David Hill. Our thanks to our crack stack man here in the booth, Mark Daddy Wags. Mark Wagner. Get a look at a game summary, and by and large, you see the logo of the Rams, and why not? Huge day for Warner, huge day for Falk. Second time he's come back to his hometown during a regular season game. He's combined for 210 yards of total offense and a couple of touchdowns, and both Bruce and Holt have gone over the 100-yard mark.
Tremendous day again for the St. Louis Rams offense. Tremendous day. And their defense has done a good job, too. They've limited the New Orleans Saints to not a whole lot of yards. That's the incredible thing. 210 total yards for the New Orleans offense so far.
Tolliver just throws it up. And it's intercepted. Flag down on the play. Haji Allen with the interception, but again, there's a penalty flag down back behind the line of scrimmage. And holding against... Well, there's another flag as well down the field, so now the officials are going to have to get together.
I think you're going to have holding on the offense and then probably some form of defensive pass interference, and we'll probably end up replaying it down.
And I don't want to forget to mention our spotter here today makes his home in St. Louis. Kimball Bergman, glad to have him with us.
Holding number 78 offense.
There's
by rule, that penalty is declined. Necessary gate. 59 on the intercepting team, 15 yards. First down, the intercepting team keeps the ball.
Also, the second penalty was after the interception.
On London Fletcher again. 1:14 to play. The Rams will head to 11-2 on the season. And for Saints, 2 wins against 11 losses. Rams will have an 11-2 record for the first time since 1975 when they went 12-2 during the regular season. That's back when they played 14 games in a year. They have 11 victories in a season for the first time since their last playoff appearance in 1989. And they've also been doing a lot of this. The bob and weave. Jeff, you going to try that on camera before we get out of here?
I was hoping that we could get you on camera doing it just like you did last night.
Well, I had to get up with my main man, Oz Hakeem. Boy, there's a stat for you.
Incredible turnaround.
First team in NFL history to go winless within their own division and then turn around the next year and go unbeaten.
And Dick Vermeil last year was washed up. The game had passed him by. This year he's a genius, and next year maybe Mike Dicker will be the genius if he's still here. It's hard to tell, but it's amazing how your record can make coaches, the perception of them, totally change.
Paul Justin has come on, and he'll just take a knee. And that's going to do it. So these Rams march on, and Jeff Lageman, as you look ahead, and we still have 3 weeks left in the regular season, have you seen anybody in the NFC? You see Jacksonville every week in the AFC. Can anybody beat this Rams team?
I think there's not a team in the NFC that can beat them, but I would like to see them match up against Indianapolis or Jacksonville. That's going to be the Super Bowl, one of those 2 AFC teams against this team right here.
Well, for Jeff Lageman and Jim Gallagher, I'm Tom Brenneman saying so long from New Orleans. Right now, as part of our Visa game break, we're going to take you to bonus coverage of the Carolina Panthers and the Green Bay Packers game. Let's join Ray Bentley and Ron Pitts for the conclusion of that one. Our final here, Rams 30, Saints 14.